Good afternoon, everyone. It is the appointed hour, and it is our first meeting of 2026. So all the best to everyone for the months ahead. I'd like to invite everyone to rise for Singing O Canada. And at this time, I'd like to call on Deputy Mayor Keaveney to give us our land acknowledgement.
Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis peoples and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters.
Thank you. And now I'll just invite you to join me for a moment of silent reflection on our business today. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Councillor Greenfield?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I will be declaring a conflict on item 10A as the physician who is mentioned in that recommendation is the physician of my wife and I.
Okay, thank you. And Deputy Mayor Keaveney?
Mr. Mayor, I will be declaring on 9.1A, the Meaford Rotary Club Facility Use Agreement, as I am a Rotarian.
Thank you. And just if anyone else at any time in the meeting encounters or realizes they may have a conflict, please bring it forward at that time. Announcements. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I think there are a number of us around this table who would like to be making this announcement, but this coming weekend is the annual ROMA conference, the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association conference, and we have, could I ask the councillors who are attending to raise their hands? Councillor Ennis, Councillor Forder, Councillor Greenfield, and Councillor Uhrig, along with CAO Everett and our clerk Margaret Wilton-Segal is also attending. So we're going to have great representation at ROMA this year. And I'm pleased to say that we also have a number of delegations. We'll be speaking to the Ministries of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. We'll be speaking to Energy and Mines, Transportation, and also the Minister of Health. So we will be reporting back on those conversations at a later date, but we're all looking forward to attending this conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Uhrig?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. So coming up on January 25th, there's going to be a concert. It's the community concert, but Sweetwater Community String Ensemble. So the Sweetwater Music Festival obviously is a very popular event that happens out in Leith, and they're going to be doing a free concert actually at the Meaford United Church on the 25th. It'll be at 3 p.m. and you can go to sweetwatermusicfestival.ca to get tickets. But it's going to be a very enjoyable evening or afternoon, led by the leadership of Edwin Hunzinga, who's the music director. And the second one is there's going to be Evening Fest, Meaford Downtown. They're putting on their second Evening Fest. They had a very successful event last year. It's a black and white. This year, they're doing an Apple-themed evening of fun, which is rather appropriate. And it's going to take place Saturday, January 31st from 7 to 9. Art, fashion, dance performance, photos, drumming. So tickets are $40 in advance, $45 at the door. So again, any further information, meaforddowntown.ca.
Maybe just to add, the concert is free, but you do have to register in advance. And I think it's because of a seating limitation, but 300, there's lots of room left over. Yeah, at Meaford United. Any other announcements from our side of the table? What about staff? Do anyone have any? All right, thank you. Moving on then to public participation today. Members of the public are encouraged to provide council with their comments and questions. Presentations must be prearranged with legislative services before the agenda is released and are limited to 10 minutes. If a member of the public wishes to make a deputation on items on the council agenda or to ask a public question of council, they may do so either in person here in the council chambers or remotely via Zoom. Members of the public wishing to make a deputation or ask a public question must register in advance with legislative services by 10 in the morning on the day of the meeting. And you can do that by contacting Deputy Clerk at meaford.ca or calling 519-538-1060, extension 1110. An email with access information is sent to those who register for remote participation. Deputations are limited to 5 minutes and public questions to 2 minutes. Just a reminder that the public can watch this meeting live via the Municipality of Meaford's YouTube channel, www.meaford.ca/YouTube. We have no presentations nor deputations today, but we do have a public question, and I will invite Laura Simmons to the podium, and if someone would turn her microphone on for her. I believe you have a question, Laura.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Kentner, Deputy Mayor and councillors. My name is Laura Simmons and I'm a full-time resident in the municipality, and I have a question or a request to ask of council. So TC Energy built 650 kilometres of pipeline that by 2023 cost them 14.5 billion. That takes a product, moves it to the customer and sells it at a profit. I get it. Near Kwazamate in Morocco, the Noor Soul Power project that I saw cost them US 9 billion, but it produces 580 megawatts annually, enough to supply 1.5 million people. I get that too. This storage facility is ballooning to 7 billion to move a product from one place to another at a considerable loss of volume of the actual product. So there's an inefficiency factor there. Therefore, no profit. As I understand it, TC Energy investors get paid. Governments, i.e. us, the taxpayers, are contributing. I, the retail end user, will be paying for the product at an unknown cost. I don't get it. To me, we are chasing our tails, or attention is being diverted about a multiple of issues when the financial numbers don't add up. Question: would council please appoint a qualified independent accounting body to explain clearly the financial implications for all involved? Follow the money. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and the accompanying background. Any questions from council? Any comment from staff? Go ahead.
Through Mr. Mayor, I guess the only comment from a staff perspective is when we look at questions being posed in regards to the financial sustainability and viability of that project, there are other agencies within the government that this phase, pending application from TC Energy, will be reviewed by those upper level of government. It's really outside of the municipalities purview in regards to the financial viability of that project.
Thank you. I think that gives Ms. Simmons an answer, and thank you for that. Are there, I guess the next item on the agenda is council inquiries. Councillor Bell.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and maybe not so much as a council inquiry, but it is something that I do want to pass on, Mr. Mayor, to the Works Department, removing all of the snow downtown. I think that everybody will be a big smile seeing that when the weather changed and there were still snow banks downtown, they did a great job. I watched them. I just happened to be downtown using the big blower, filling up the trucks and getting it cleaned up. Just pass on, well done to the crew if you would do so. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. And we will pass that along, and we're all very happy with the work that was completed.
Councillor Urick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. General question, I guess, CEO probably. It involves this economic development strategic plan. We know that ours has expired. And yes, this is interesting timing because we're now in an election year, and so what the impact's going to be. Just wondering what kind of timing is being considered for updating that plan. Because it seems to me that with the council strategic priorities that will be initiated come 2027, it would be nice to kind of have just a strategic plan at least formulated from a public perspective so that they can then have that information to kind of formulate into what those priorities are going to be. So it'd be really nice to me if that was to happen throughout 26, but I'll leave that with you.
Thank you. And through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Urick, happy to go back and work with economic development staff and Ms. Can in regards to looking at what that project would entail. I do know that looking at the economic development strategy and reviewing the work that's been done, looking forward to having that committee be able to provide some insight with that final report as well. And that's something that we can look forward to bringing some additional information to council on.
Just a comment, I think we're in a good place to, advance that now that we have a memorandum of agreement with Grey County to focus on growth and development, and also the fact that we now have 30 acres of employment and commercial lands that we can consider. And it's certainly a priority of mine in 2026 that we look at how we advance getting those lands occupied. Any other questions from council? Okay, then we'll move into the consent agenda, and we've got 4 items here. How would you like to deal with them, Deputy Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that we pull A as we need to declare on that one.
Okay, any others that you wish to, Councillor Forder?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you'd like to just pull B. I just have a question I want to ask for that item.
Okay, so then can we take it that items C and D are ready to be put on the floor and voted on? So the first one is the recommendation that it be resolved that bylaw 2026-02, being a bylaw to provide for the erection of stop signs at intersections in the municipality of Meaford, be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. A mover and a seconder, Councillor Bell and Deputy Mayor Keaveney. Any discussion? All in favor? And that is carried. And I guess we could have done both of these in the same breath. Parking control. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-03, being a bylaw to amend the parking control bylaw 2021-39 pertaining to William Street and Cook Street, be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. It's moved by Councillor Greenfield, seconded by Councillor Forder. Any discussion? All in favor? And that is carried unanimously as well. So let's go back to item A, and Deputy Mayor Keaveney will exit. And the recommendation is that Council of the Municipality of Meaford, 1, approve the Meaford Rotary Club Facility Use Agreement, and 2, approve use of the proposed 35% subsidy of the community rate to the Meaford Rotary Club as proposed by staff and in consultation with the Meaford Rotary Club. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Forder and Councillor Bell. Thank you. Discussion? I see none. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. And if someone wants to invite the deputy mayor back for the next vote. And the next item, and yes, be it resolved that bylaw 2026-01, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Grace Auble Conservation Authority for delivery of Part 4 responsibilities under the Clean Water Act, be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover and seconder, moved by Councillor Uhrig, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Discussion on this? Councillor Forder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question, just for clarification. So I do see there are two different dates with regards to termination by either party. In 7.2B, it says 90 days notice, but in 7.3, it says 180 days notice. I just wanted to get some clarification before we approve this to make sure that we understand exactly what we're doing here. Thank you.
Anyone on staff have an answer for that? Tori?
Through your worship, I don't have a specific answer. This would be a contract that we've already been under and haven't had any problems with. I know that doesn't necessarily answer your question, but I could look into it and get back to council with regards to that. And if we need to make any changes, we can.
The chair of the Grace Auble Conservation Authority wouldn't have the answer.
No, I don't, Mr. Mayor. I have more of a concern, whether it's the 3 months or the 6 months, it's going to impinge upon what happens with the amalgamation as well. So this might be a moot point.
Can I ask our clerk for some advice on this? Should we vote for it, or should we defer it until we find out exactly what date this?
Thank you, Your Worship. I do think that that's how council feels comfortable. If you'd like some additional information, we can defer this item to the next meeting. And I believe that there are no consequences with doing so for the agreement. So that might be the best approach.
So which would be the best?
If council feels that you don't have the information to make the decision, then I believe deferring would be your best option at this time.
So can I have a motion perhaps then to from Councillor Forder? Is there a seconder? Councillor Uhrig, and that is the purpose of this is to defer a decision until we have a little more information, specifically the date of the. Amy, do you have a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship. I've just quickly read through this section and I think I can provide an answer if that helps. So Section 7.2 of the agreement deals with renewal. So at such time as the agreement is reaching its natural expiry and it will automatically roll over, or we get that shortened termination date at that time, being the 90 days. Otherwise, if the timing is outside of that agreement expiry date, then the termination period is longer. So it's just a matter of the point at which we or the GSCA attempt to terminate the agreement. So just, does that answer your question?
All right.
Okay.
Then I will call the vote. All in favor? Sorry.
My suggestion before we get too far is to withdraw the deferral motion. If council now feels that they have the appropriate amount of information, we can proceed with the ratification. So we'll note in the minutes that the deferral was withdrawn, and then we can proceed to have a vote with the original mover and seconder on the item itself.
So I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll speak a little louder.
Please.
So my suggestion at this point is that to have the vote right now, we would be voting on the motion to defer. And it seems that perhaps we've now had the appropriate information for council to make a decision. So in the minutes, if everybody is comfortable, we will note the deferral motion was withdrawn with the
you.
introduction of additional information. And now the vote that's taking place is to move forward with the recommendation as is in the agenda.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what we, so we can go ahead and vote then on that motion. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. And that completes the consent agenda, looking at items for consideration. The first is the recommendation that Council of the Municipality of Meaford select option 3, reduction of speed limit to 60 kilometers per hour at a cost of $3,000 to be funded through the Roads Reserve. A mover and a seconder for this motion, Councillor Uhrig and Deputy Mayor Keaveney. This is to do with concession 8 South, and any discussion on the motion as it's on the floor? Councillor Forder?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. So if we assume that this is going to pass today, can we get an idea of how long it'll take until that these actions are actually going to affect into that area? Thank you.
Through your worship, we will need to bring forward a bylaw to change the speed limit, as well as make sure we have the signs in stock. And the number that we need, we most likely won't, so we'll have to order them in. And then determine if we need to do locates. We have done something similar, obviously on a smaller scale, installing the stop signs at William and Cook Street. As you see, those bylaws came forward to you today, so some of these things can be done fairly quickly. We've also worked at getting those locates in as well, and obviously because there's just a couple of signs there, is a bit easier. So I would say, based on the timing of that, it will probably take a little bit longer for this to take place. But it's similar type of work. So we just need to get all of those things in place before we can get it done. So I would say within 3 months, we should be able to get them done. That would be if we get slowed down with some of these things, but we should be able to see it sooner.
Any other discussion? If you're ready to vote, all in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item, the recommendation is that Council of the Municipality of Meaford, 1, direct staff to bring forward the mayor's budget to budget public meetings on February 2nd, 2026, the operating budget, February 3rd, 2026, the capital budget, and February 6th, 2026, the user pay and the final review. 2, approves further shortening of the budget amendment period from 25 days to 23 days. And 3, approves reinstatement of the unmodified 15-day period for council to override a mayor's vote if required. Mover and seconder, Councillor Greenfield and Councillor Uhrig. Thank you. Discussion on this motion, Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it's going to be an interesting time for us all, including yourself, Mr. Mayor.
Definitely.
A new process, quite obviously, and we've all been hearing things and reading things about the process. I personally am still glad that we're going to have some comment period on the 3 days, capital operating and the user fee. And anyway, I do look forward, I'm sure the rest of my fellow councillors do also look forward to as it were, how hard you have been working to help our municipality, Mr. Mayor, but I'm sure that we'll be pleased at the starting point. So thank you for your work so far.
Thank you. And I guess what I'd just like to add to that is there's no question that you will have work to do when we get there, because I think you will have your own thoughts, as council always does, on priorities and also on just what the traffic will bear. And I think that these are difficult times. That hasn't changed since I've been a councillor for 8 years now. Why there has been a lot of pressure on consumers and ratepayers. So I'm just hopeful that we can get somewhere. And I want to say that so far, I greatly appreciate the assistance of Mr. Everett, our CAO, and our treasurer, Val Manning, and others who have, what I have missed is, I do believe that Mr. Ford got the cart before the horse. I wish we had heard from people like Tori, from you personally, and other directors before we had to nail down some numbers. We will get that opportunity when council sits down, and we will hear, or be in a position to ask questions. I hope I haven't scared you, Tori. But anyway, that is, I'm looking forward to it, and those days are fast approaching. And on Wednesday, the budget will be posted, and I'm still working furiously to try and make sure that I will be content to have my name under that budget. So moving on, the yeah, we've got to vote on this. All in favor? That's carried unanimously again. Thank you. So now I need a motion to move into a committee of the whole. Councillor Forder, and seconded by Councillor Uhrig. All in favor? And the first item here is recommendation that Committee of the Whole recommend Council of the Municipality of Meaford approve execution of a financial loan agreement between Dr. Rakowski and the municipality in the amount of $100,000 at 1% interest for a term not to exceed 5 years. Is there a mover and seconder for this? Deputy Mayor Keaveney and Councillor Uhrig, thank you. Discussion. Yeah, why don't you speak to this, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and only a comment. I just wanted to say how very pleased I am and how grateful I am to our CAO for moving this forward so expeditiously so that Dr. Aberkowski can move towards completing his project on Denmark Street that will provide office space for 3 doctors, which is so very desperately needed in Meaford as we look to attract physicians to our area. So I'm just, as I say, very happy to see this before us here today and so quickly after the original motion came forward. So thank you very much to staff for making that happen.
Councillor Bell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to you, Madam Deputy Mayor, well done. It's been something that you've been working at, and now you're starting to see that we can do something, and we're going to make this happen. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Anything else? Are you ready to vote? All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Second item, the recommendation is that Committee of the Whole recommend the Council of the Municipality of Meaford, 1, approve the award for the supply and installation of a new splash pad to Open Space Solutions in the amount of $332,261.25, including the municipality's non-refundable allocation of HST through the Canoe Procurement Group bid process. And 2, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the necessary agreements. A mover and a seconder, Councillor Forder and Councillor Greenfield. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? This has been, working its way through council literally for months and months and months, and we are here, and it's good to see this approved at this point. Did you wish to speak, Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have a question, if I may. I just wanted to ask staff, I'm really delighted to see this project going forward, but there is quite a difference from the final figure of 459.4 to the 334 budget. And I know we have notes here in our report, but I just wonder if I could ask for a little bit of a verbal explanation. It's nearly $127,000, just how this project came to be so much more expensive.
Who would like to speak to that?
I can speak to that through you, Mr. Mayor. So this project has sort of seen a couple different variations from the original budget to being able to put this in place. I do believe that through this project, the existing playground equipment has been relocated. And one of the significant pieces was to ensure that the splash pad would be constructed to the original thought of square footage. My understanding is what was originally budget was a reduced square footage. This brings back up to where the original plan was. The other piece is as pricing goes up, we are realizing that some of these projects are higher than what we had budgeted. I do want to really say and appreciate staff for utilizing the canoe procurement group, which is it's an opportunity that's afforded to municipalities and government to be able to work with pre-qualified bidders to allow for the project to go through the tendering process a lot quicker. And the nice thing is when you're dealing with those businesses that have been pre-qualified, we know that we're dealing with strong suppliers. So I think there's a range of pieces to this project, and the goal is to have this ready for the longest day of play, to be able to have it in place and have a grand opening around that. So hopefully that's helpful information.
Councillor Greenfield?
Thank you, Your Worship. If I just may add, I did receive some information from the Recreation Department this morning. I was curious about, okay, we got 459,000, we've got 332,000. The playground removal equipment last fall that was done by Naturally Green Landscaping came to about $27,000. And that has already been paid out of the 459. So the information I received suggests that there's, okay, we've got the 332 for this new splash pad. There should be about $100,000 left in that original 459 total. So I hope that helps a little bit. Because I know I was wondering, if we budgeted 332 or 459, we're getting it done for 332. That's a pretty good bargain, but it's not the complete story.
Councillor Urick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. I believe open space was the only bidder. Is that correct? Got the impression that was the case. I just found it unusual. Or is it just that specialized work?
So through Mr. Mayor to Councillor, what canoe allows is to deal specifically with pre-qualified bidders. So as part of that, those bidders have the benefit of already going through pricing scenarios and gives us the ability to fast track those purchases. If there's multiple suppliers within canoe, that would allow us to deal with that. But in this particular case, I believe there was just the one.
Okay, you ready to vote? All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. The next update, or at least the next item, the recommendation is that Committee of the Whole recommend that Council of the Municipality of Meaford repeal bylaw 2022-01. A mover and a seconder, Councillor Greenfield and Deputy Mayor Keaveney. And this is actually a very straightforward. We, in order to move forward with this year's election, we are going to have to repeal the bylaw that controlled the election 4 years ago. Anyway, you would like to speak?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one minor correction. The bylaw that I'm suggesting we repeal actually is the recount policy bylaw. It's one that we don't need with the method that we're using in this election. So we had to pass a bylaw for the previous election because we did a manual count. Because of the type of count, we can rely on the Municipal Elections Act and the provisions in that act and don't need this type of recount policy. I also, with Council's indulgence, just want to correct one mistake that I had had made, under lame duck explanation, I had tried to include some wording because we'd had a conversation a couple of meetings ago about lame duck and all of that. So I wanted to just note that the first paragraph says 5 or fewer members, and it should say 6 or fewer. So we'll correct that in the report. I don't know why this is so complicated to wrap our minds around, but it really doesn't, it's not an easy one to state. So I wanted to just rephrase it in case this helps. And so I had written down essentially 7 members, which is 3/4 of the members, which with a 7-member council, 3/4 is 6, meaning 6 members of the outgoing council will need to potentially form the new council not to be in lame duck. So as we get closer, we'll start to have more information about that. And as the report says, there's nothing that we can really address until we know who's putting their name forward. But we will, as staff, monitor and consider the need for additional reports to ensure continuation of the municipal process during a potential lame duck period. So this is really just for information because we'd had that conversation, but I thought I just would make that correction and reiterate that. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them as we work through the next steps of this.
Any questions, comments? Are you ready to vote? All in favor? And that is also carried unanimously. Moving on to County Council and other local board reports. Deputy Mayor, do you have a report for us from County Council?
I do, Mr. Mayor, and we're really moving along today. The first meeting of the new year for County Council was last Thursday, January the 8th. And it was such a short agenda that instead of having everyone attend County Council in person in Owen Sound, it was decided to just have a Zoom meeting. So we did that and completed the entire meeting in 1 hour and 3 minutes. Minutes were passed and a bylaw was approved that adopts the estimates of revenues and expenditures for 2026 as outlined in the 2026 budget. The total net levy requirement for 2026 at Grey County is $83,951,800, which is a 4.78 increase over 2025. During Good News and Celebrations, Grey Bruce Farmers Week was highlighted. 2026 is the 60th anniversary of Grey Egg Services in Markdale, and we have our representative, Councillor Tony Bell, who attends those meetings. The Farmers Week takes place from January the 7th to January the 12th, so it's actually over now today. The event has been a mainstay for the egg industry in Grey County since 1966. The event physically took place in Elmwood, and there was a virtual option as well. Over the course of the week, attendees learned about beef, dairy, goat, sheep, horse, and crops farming. Lori Smith, who many of us know, the Executive Director of Grey Egg Services, will be retiring early in 2026. She will be deeply missed, but we wish her a long and happy retirement after 20 years of dedicated services to all things agriculture in Grey County. Warden Matrosovs expressed appreciation to staff in emergency services and transportation for their committed efforts over the holiday season. The first agenda item in Committee of the Whole was a motion from Deputy Warden Milne requesting support from Council to dissolve the Budget and Finance Committee, which I have been a member of representing Meaford. And through this committee, each of us had an opportunity to participate in preparing recommendations for council in relation to staff requests in the original 2025 budget. So it was a very, very interesting process. But as we know, with an election coming up in 2026, that postpones discussion of the 27 budget until the new council is elected. So it makes sense to disband this committee. A delegation was presented by Joseph Grieco, who spoke to concerns for pedestrians and cyclists on Grey Road 17B in Georgian Bluffs, and in particular, the area around Nichols Gully. Like many roads, there's little space for sharing the roadway with walkers and bicycles. Mr. Grieco acknowledged this road section is slated for reconstruction in 2027, and his desire was for staff and council to consider a widening that would make 17B safer for all. In the meantime, watch for pedestrian signage will be installed along Nichols Gully. The consent agenda included letters from several municipalities voicing concerns regarding the province's intent to amalgamate conservation authorities, and we're all very familiar with those concerns. The minutes from the December 10th Agricultural Advisory Committee were presented. That agenda focused on the cutting of ash and elm trees. County staff typically leave the body wood on roadsides for scavengers to pick up, and if it's not picked up, they go back and gather it. Dead stock removal requirements were discussed. We're awaiting new information from Meaford, so there's more to follow on that. They also talked about the West Grey Hanover Boundary Agreement, which was presented from the very important perspective that anyone farming in that amalgamated area will not have to submit to development if they don't want to. They can continue to farm as long as they want. Conservation area amalgamations were discussed at this table, as well as succession planning for farmers and the Grey County's snow fence program, which is a partnership with landowners, the goal of which is to make use of the natural environment to help prevent drifting snow and hazardous driving on county roads, utilizing trees, shrubs, and living snow fences to create physical barriers. And we also talked at that meeting about Roma. On behalf of Grey County, I will be attending 4 delegations with the Ministries of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister of Health, Colleges and Universities, and Natural Resources. So that was all we covered in that hour and 3 minutes. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councillor Ennis.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor Keaveney, I heard you say living snow fences. Could you elaborate on that? That's really interesting.
Yes, it is. And that is the program. You'll find information on Grey County's website. And there is an opportunity for financial support with farmers if they if they're situated on a road where there is an advantage to having a snow fence or a tree line or something of that nature that would support the winds and the drifting snow to help keep those roads more drivable in the winter. So yeah, probably you'll get the detail you're looking for if you could look that up on the county website, Eric.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Shirley? Sorry, CAO Everett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to that, the question raised by Councillor Ennis, a really good example of the live fencing is actually up in Grey Road 7, just I'm going to say north of Grey Road 40. There's a number of trees that over the years have been planted that really improve the conditions of the drifting snow. So it's a very effective means of breaking the snow, as well as, from what I understand, really assists in controlling some erosion from open fields in those farming seasons. So Grey Road 7 is a great example of that. Thank you.
And Shirley, you didn't mention that you're also on the Agriculture Committee, and can you name some of the others, because Meaford gets extremely well represented at County Council in terms of committee work.
We do, yeah. We're very pleased to have Keith Reed, who's very involved in OFA, and he runs the ALICE program, and Keith is very active in the Ag Committee. There's wonderful representation really from across the county, and what I really like about this group is they all do different types of agriculture, everything from, sheep farming and poultry and beef. They're all there, and as we looked at the experimental acres program, I mean, we did have representation in Meaford on that program as well, and we saw that Dr. Christine at Dragon's Den. So there's just so much new technology happening within farming now. It's so interesting to listen to people talk about how they, support climate change and the efforts that they undertake on their own farms to, to do everything they can to protect the environment, and how open they are to education and to learning. I mean, when I think back growing up on a farm and my father, I mean, things were done the way they were always done, but that's not how it is in agriculture anymore. I mean, there's so much innovation and it's just a wonderful learning opportunity to be part of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other boards or committees? Councillor Urick?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Gray Salvo Conservation Authority Board met on December 17th. Of course, the proposed Conservation Authorities amalgamation continued to be a significant topic of conversation as it affects everything that GSCA and all the CAs are planning. The board approved the GSCA official response for the Environmental Registry of Ontario, or ERO posting 025-1257 regarding the proposed boundaries for regional consolidation of conservation authorities. Another example of the impact of the amalgamation was illustrated when the board received an ash management strategy report for GSCA-owned lands. In summary, the number of ash trees along GSCA trails is estimated to be a minimum of 11,700 to a maximum of 44,700. Using the calculation of approximately $4,000 per 20 trees would result in costs ranging from 2.3 to 8.9 million for removal along its trails alone. Needless to say, there's great concern about this will be prioritized, let alone considered once the amalgamation takes place. But life goes on, and the board approved the staff proposed updated public communications policy. And the board was also presented with its beautiful new Explore Guide, which provides maps of amenities and recreational trails for 23 of the GSCA's most popular adventure spots that offer visitors a peaceful escape, opportunities to learn, and beautiful settings for fitness excursions. The guide will be available in printed version and on the GSCA website soon. Finally, the GSCA AGM is taking place on January 28th, which will mark the end of my second term as chair. It's been a pleasure serving on the board and in this capacity, and it should be interesting to see what happens next.
Thank you, Councillor Urick. Any other? Okay, then we'll move on and actually move out of committee of the whole. Could I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Forder and Councillor Greenfield, thank you. All in favor? And that is at 1:47 p.m. And at this point, I'm going to ask if there's any notice of motions. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I do have a notice, and the motion will direct staff to initiate strategic land disposal processes that would include the development of a request for pre-qualification for an RFP process. And where I'm going with this is I'm interested to see if there's any desire from the development community to undertake a tiny home community here in Meaford. I think it would be marvelous to have Meaford on the leading edge of that type of growth in Grey County. And I believe there is a market who may be interested in tiny home living. And I'm not talking about a trailer park. I'm talking about tiny homes on foundations that would offer a very affordable type of living for people that we don't have in Meaford, nor do we in Grey County. So that's where that motion will be headed.
Any other notices of motion? Okay, then Councillor Bell, you have a motion to bring forward. Do I need a seconder before we hear the motion? Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. We can proceed either way if Councillor Bell wants to introduce the motion, and then you can see if there's a seconder. That's just fine. Thank you.
Go ahead, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a motion that I'm bringing forward about installing a veterans crosswalk in the town. Whereas strengthening our community is one of council's priorities, and whereas the municipality of Meaford has a very rich military history, and whereas 2026 marks 25 years of amalgamation, the town of Meaford, the township of St. Vincent, and Sydenham. And whereas in our municipality is the 4th Canadian Division Training Center, and further, the strong presence of military personnel, past and present, for Remembrance Day is outstanding. Therefore, be it resolved that staff bring a report to council in the first quarter of 2026 respecting the installation of a crosswalk, honoring veterans, and that the report provides options for the crosswalk location, design, and opportunities for sponsorship funding for council's consideration.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Deputy Mayor Keaveney?
So Mr. Mayor and fellow councilors, over the past few decades, how time does fly. It's been my privilege and a real honor to be involved in particular the November the 11th Remembrance Day ceremonies. I'm always personally touched with the fact that when you round the corner, there's so many people downtown. I've had people who are in the forces come up to me after and say that being in the forces, they've been in many, many communities all over. And many of them have a consistent comment that here at our cenotaph, they say that we do it right, and they are very impressed with what goes on. I was inspired to do this from our newly appointed Councillor Innes. Sometimes when I'm standing downtown during that, that moment down at the cenotaph, I get an opportunity to look around and I see a lot of people. I see people from Sydenham and St. Vincent, a lot of people from the town and children. And I happened to catch a glimpse, and I did see my fellow councillor Innes last year at the cenotaph. But what our fellow councillor did was after this year's Remembrance Day, he slid to me a newspaper article that came from down around Kitchener-Waterloo, and they're putting in a crosswalk to honor veterans down there. So thinking about what has been happening for a number of years, and with my fellow councillor sliding me that nice article, I thought I better do something about it. So thank you. I've had opportunity to engage with the president of the local Legion. He's very much in step with wanting to do this. He's told me that it's becoming common now in a lot of communities that they're doing this. And I think that it'll be a great time for another further strengthening opportunity between the local Legion and working with staff for the municipality to engage on this. And I said in the report to bring it forth in the first quarter because I do feel that this can be done. There will be lots of thoughts and lots of ideas on the design and the location. And I'd like to see it put in place well before this November. And in particular, I mentioned in this that it's the amalgamation's 25th year, but for the Legion here out of the town of Meaford, 2026 is 100 years of service. In April of 1926, there was a big convention out in Winnipeg. It was called the Unity Conference, and there was so many groups that were formed to try to, talk to the government about veterans' needs. They pulled that all together out in Winnipeg, and it was the first time it was called the Canadian Legion. So I just hope that my motion is simple enough. I hope it's direct enough. And I know the heart of the people of the town and elsewhere is behind our forces. And I would just like to see a nice reminder for 365 days of the year. There are people who are simply outstanding and they can do a whole career and none of us even get to know their name. And I think that I would really be personally happy to see this. And I just look forward to any comments my fellow councillors have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And comments, questions, Councillor Greenfield?
Worship, and thank you, Councillor Bell, for bringing this forward. It's an excellent idea. I'm just wondering, is there a national standard as far as a design for this crosswalk, or can it be regional or individual, or is there one pattern that the vast majority of municipalities tend to follow?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the short answer is no. It's pretty open. There is one requirement that on such a thing as a crosswalk, the image of the poppy is not to be put on it. It's just viewed as bad protocol to step on poppies, as they're great meaning to many families. It also can be said about the Canadian flag. Laying it down on the ground is also something. So you can come up with a design that shows red and white and maple leaves, and you can have a short script on it, get to the point. And I think for Meaford, I've often said on this council, I do like to see how Meaford can lead the way. So I think we look forward to lots of comments that can come forward to bring something forward that brings out the word honor. So thanks for the question, though.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank you, Councillor Bell, for bringing this forward. I think this is really a nice thing to do, and I think it will mean a lot to the members of our military. And I think as you talk about this being the 100th year for the Legion and the 25th year of amalgamation, and we also recognize that our Prime Minister has supported some financial investment in our military, and we're going to see some increased presence here in Meaford. So there's another good reason that this is the right timing to bring this crosswalk forward. And I like that we have an opportunity to have some input into the design of it, and perhaps the folks at our 4th Canadian Division would like to contribute some ideas as well. And it could be a project that we work on together with personnel at our base, which again would be a nice thing to do, I think. So I think it's wonderful that we do this, particularly because in Meaford at this point in time, and I do believe that's going to change, but there's no recognition driving through Meaford that we are a military town. There's no acknowledgement of that whatsoever at this point in time. And I think this is one way that we can show our appreciation to everything that happens here in Meaford and abroad for all members of the military. So again, I appreciate you bringing this forward, Councillor Bell. Thank you.
Councillor Yuri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and yes, thank you, Tony, for bringing it forward. 100% agree. I think it's a great idea. My only question is, I noticed in your motion, you had also mentioned the possibility of funding. And I'm just thinking, wondering, are you thinking about potential community sponsorships? I'm sure there are many groups in our community who also value our neighbors and would probably love to participate in something like this. So I just didn't know whether you already had some groups in mind or some things in mind to that end, but I think it's a great idea.
Okay, are we ready to vote? All in favor? And that motion and your suggestion is 100%. Okay. Moving on, we have some council meetings to adopt the minutes of. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Meaford hereby adopt the minutes of the council meetings held on December 8, 2025, December 9, 2025, and December 15, 2025, and the closed meetings held on December 8, 2025, and December 15, 2025. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Forder, and seconded by Councillor Bell. Thank you. I assume everyone has read them, so I will just ask you to approve them. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Is there anything on the communications agenda that anyone wants to bring forward? If not, oh, sorry, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I would suggest that we pull D. And that is the Grey County Council Resolution Recomments on Proposed Changes to the Conservation Authorities Act.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Yurick, all in favor? And then you just go ahead and bring it forward. What about your
I apologize, Mr. Mayor, if I may. The staff at Grey County have done an amazing job of preparing comments in relation to this proposal by the province. And I would just look to Councillor Urick as Chair of Grey Sauble, with your approval, suggest that we that we acknowledge to Grey County that we support these comments. And I'm sure there'll be lots of discussion at Roma about these proposed changes at the CAs. And I just thought it appropriate that we just provide a short note of support to Grey County on these comments.
Go ahead,
Through you,
Jim.
Mr. Mayor. Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I did read through that and it was excellent. It was really well done and appreciated. And I know CAO, Lantier and the board also thought, you know, that was really well done. So no problem supporting that whatsoever.
Right, so anything else on the agenda that, sorry? I guess we need a motion to do that. Okay, so it's moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Urick, and the motion is that we,
Mr. Mayor, that we would just provide a note of support to Grey County for the comments that they will be presenting on our behalf to the province in relation to the proposed changes at the CA, if Councillor Urick agrees.
okay, and do we have a seconder for that? Okay, yes, all okay. All in favor? And just, I'm going to ask Councillor Urick, what did you think of the Grand River Conservation Authority's remarks on this? They were basically suggesting strongly that province has some great ideas here, and it isn't really necessary to have a humongous amalgamation in order to bring some of those practices forward. So what did you think of that one?
They're vastly in the minority. All the online meetings that we've had with all the various CAs and all the municipalities, participating municipalities that have been invited, there has only been one one body that's basically been fine with everything in the status quo. So nobody really understands why they're kind of adopting that methodology. But yeah, they're definitely in the minority, and most people are wondering the same thing.
Okay. Anything from the correspondence list? So go ahead.
Yes, item number, it's on page 252. It's the Meaford Theatre Company. And I just wanted to ask staff whether or not there was any consideration of giving, and I know this is late in the game because we're going to be actually later this evening doing the public meeting, and this is actually part of that. Interestingly, that correspondence did illustrate, and I know this is true, that they've actually at their own expense done a number of renovations to that. Many of those are, of course, catering to more of a enabling them to enrich the theater experience, but also many of them are just basic upgrades to the basic components of the building. So they've done approximately $25,000 work so far, and they're planning to do more. And now we are continuing to do the $5,000 a year fee basically for them to be there. And I know now we're adding on the basically the utilities onto that. But I'm just wondering whether staff had looked at this and whether, and again, so here's a group that if wasn't doing this, would we be spending our own money on kind of keeping that building up to scruff? Because there were things that were happening outside. I know that also even accessibility was an issue that we had to do some stuff on. So I just don't know whether this was realized and came into the considerations when it came to charging them moving forward.
Through your worship, with regards to the facility itself, our facility team reviews all of our facilities and ensures that we are doing all of the minimum required work. So that facility does have some work with the ramp because there was some damages over the last winter. Those are within the municipal budget, and there's some ongoing work with that item. So we do make sure sure that all items that are required for the facility are done. I do know that we do get information from the groups that do utilize our community halls. And we identify the projects that are priority to make sure that our facilities are upkept properly. And if there are things outside of that that they wish to do, it sounds like that is being done. But we definitely do work with them to make sure that what we need to get done to keep those facilities maintained is getting done within our existing facility budgets.
Counselor?
Thank you, and I'm glad you used the word minimum in there, and that's kind of the point here is that, yeah, we are keeping it at base. So if they're doing things like painting the interior or basically purchasing of new lighting or expansion of the tech booth, which is going to benefit anybody else that uses the building. So the only thing is, and I'm agreeing, that's not a problem. I'm glad we're doing the minimum, but the fact that an organization that's spending their own money, a volunteer organization that's spending its own money to try and bring it above the minimum. I just wanted to make sure that that was being taken into consideration when we were looking at the fees and charges that we were proposing to put on them moving forward. So whether, and again, this kind of sets precedent again for whether Wagner or, other groups that are doing things with halls. We want to encourage community groups to A, utilize these facilities, but B, if they are predominantly the users of them and willing to spend their own hard-earned money to repair and maintain and upgrade them, that they're being rewarded for that and not penalized by higher fees. So all I'm asking is just to make sure that these are considerations that are given when we're putting the fee structure in place, that they're not just a rental company that comes in, walks in, rents the place, and then walks out. They're also helping keep it going and maintaining it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to Councillor Yurg. So where I'd like to get the organization to a place with our small halls is a level of consistency of how we work with each of those small halls. I think it's fantastic that local groups are fundraising and putting efforts into those buildings for enhancements. Where I'd like to get to is that the municipality and those organizations are on the same page. And that at the end of the day, those buildings are owned by the municipality. We want to also make sure, not to say that this isn't happening, because I believe it is happening. Where there are any renovations, repairs, especially on the electrical side, that electrical permits are being pulled for every time something is getting repaired, because that's what we have to do as a municipality. So ESA has to be, a permit has to get pulled if you are changing ballast or anything of any significance. When we're talking about activities, whether it be painting, use of ladders, those are all facilities that fall under our health and safety requirements. So if a volunteer was to do work in any of those buildings and were to get hurt, it's actually the municipality's health and safety and our insurance that covers that. So definitely over this year, want to be working with those organizations to make sure there is consistency and we're following all the requirements and making sure that there is a 15 to 20-year business plan. We should never be surprised about a project that comes out of the blue. Nor should they be surprised that we're bringing something forward. So we should be never bringing a report out of the blue for those groups as well. So it's just the sharing information, but I've got a significant amount of experience when we're talking about small halls and, getting to a point where everybody understands they're owned by the municipality. It's our insurance, it's our health and safety, and making sure that all those activities, whether it be repairs or renovations or additions, all of the required permits are being considered and being received prior to any work being done. So just some insight of where in this mind, I definitely want to get by the end of 2026. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Councillor Greenfield?
Thank you, Your Worship. I did have another piece of correspondence I wanted to refer to, but before I refer to it, I do want to mention the number of items, supporting conservation authorities across Ontario and, absolutely against any kind of restructuring there. A number of them suggested a 50-50 funding formula, which I think would be much appreciated by every conservation authority. But I just I cannot imagine how these messages cannot get through to our provincial leaders and warrant a backing off of this ridiculous idea. But there was one correspondence, number 15. It's a little unusual, a little different from ones we usually get. It's from the city of Hamilton. And yeah, Hamilton is it's known for many items, but it is a waterfront city, and it talks about swimming lessons through the local school boards. And I couldn't help but think, well, Hamilton is no more on a body of water. I don't even know if it's on a river, but than our municipality is. And to me, it's a great idea. I think a lot of people have some criticism of the curriculum in our elementary schools, especially, and they're advocating a swim to survive program, and I thought it was worth supporting. I think it's a great idea. I think it suggests maybe a couple of weeks of throughout the school year this program would be offered, and doesn't necessarily intend to teach every young child how to swim, but at least how to take some safety measures in and around the water. So I was wondering if our municipality would support number 15, and I'll move that we write a letter of support to it.
You have a point, Amy?
Thank you, Your Worship. If it helps as a local parent, I can confirm that Blue Water does do Swim to Survive programs through the YMCA in Owen Sound. So it is a thing in our school board as well.
Thank you, Ms. Can. I didn't realize that. So our municipality, Meaford, children eligible to be involved in that? We don't have anything here at the Blue Dolphin, or we do?
No, the program, I believe, that is run through the Blue Water District School Board through GBCS is the children are bused to the Julie MacArthur and Owen Sound for the Swim to Survive program through the Y.
Okay, if there's nothing else, and I think that is the end of our agenda. The next item is a closed session, and be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Meaford does now go into a closed session at 2:13 p.m. with the CAO and clerk in attendance to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And that's under the open meeting exemption C of section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001, respecting a proposed land disposition. So I need a motion to move into that closed meeting. Councillor Uhrig and Councillor Forder, all in favor? And so we will be returning at the conclusion of the closed meeting and reporting out at that time. Okay, reporting out of our closed meeting this afternoon with the CAO and clerk in attendance to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality under open meeting exemption C of the Municipal Act, respecting a proposed land disposition. And I'll just say that we gave instructions to staff on the report. We've got one more item here, a confirming bylaw. The recommendation is be it resolved that bylaw 2026-04 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Meaford be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. A mover and a seconder, Councillor Greenfield and Councillor Bell. Any discussion? All in favor? And that is carried. And with that, I'll declare today's meeting adjourned.